Welcome to the Ascend Growth AI podcast, where we mix smart growth moves with a little AI magic. I'm Teresa. Let's dive in. For today's guest, we have Marty Mazer, the Executive Director of Franchise Development at Mathnasium. He's been instrumental in helping Mathnasium adapt market strategies to meet their unique needs of their diverse franchise locations across the country. So Marty, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Teresa, thanks for having me.
Why don't we start by having you share your journey?
Where do you want me to start?
How about once you start getting into franchising?
All right. Before I got into the franchise industry, I spent 14 years in the health club industry from 1978 to 1992. I lived in Virginia Beach, and the health club industry was great. One day, a friend of mine said, "Hey, you should get into the franchise business. You'd be great in the development side." I said, "Okay, well, what does that mean? What's that all about?" And he said, "There's a company called Jackson Hewitt." I said, "What do they do?" And he said, "They're just a small little regional company in North Carolina, Virginia, and South Carolina. Why don't you come in and, check out, meet the owner, John Hewitt, the founder." I went there and I was offered a position as a franchise development rep. And that's where my journey started. And when I saw the first person that I sold a franchise to smiled and said, "This is going to change my life," I said, "This is for me." Because what we do in the development side of franchising is not only help the consumer by outreach, we're helping the entrepreneur by becoming successful and doing something outside of corporate America for themselves.
Right. And you were part of other franchises.
I worked for a company with Jackson Hewitt till 2000. And then I went in 2000, we called Ace Cash Express out of Dallas, Texas. They were a financial services franchise. From there, I went to a company called Liberty Tax. Spent some time there back with the founder at Jackson Hewitt, John Hewitt. And then from that point on, I worked in the food industry. I worked in Rent-A-Center. I worked in a company that had several franchise organizations under one roof, such as like a company called United Franchise Group, and worked in the sign light industrial business. I worked in the food sub-sandwiches. They had a lot of different concepts. Here I am today at Mathnasium because I'm in the twilight of my career. I've done very well in the industry. I've got a good reputation. I've always done the right things when I brought people into the business. Still talk to people back 36 years ago that I sold franchises to. Like I said, I love what I do. I love the chance to help somebody to become an entrepreneur and change their life.
No, that's great. And for those of our audience who doesn't know, what does Mathnasium do?
Mathnasium is a learning center for children. We cater to children that are struggling in certain topics. And the success about Mathnasium is not only its longevity and the success of the ownership, it's the things we do to help the kids that really make the business. From the time mom and dad reach out to us, they're nervous for their kids at age 6, 7, 8. They're not catching on. Math is a universal language. 2 plus 2 is the same in the U.S. as it is in France and Saudi Arabia. We're an ally to mom and dad. We are a resource for the kids. And our goal is to help the kids do better. And what separates us from our competition is we work at a pedagogy approach. We use pedagogy, which is more of talking to the kids in their language. Mathnasium does not use workbooks. We do not give homework, and we don't believe in memorization. We want the mechanics of a problem to be solved by the child in his mind, how to put that together to make it work. I read a book and at one time it said 12 times 12 is 144. Yeah, that's the answer. So I want them to know that if 12, and you take 12 times, it's 144. So that's how our language is different. We lead kids to the language of Mathnasium.
That makes sense. And is it only math as a subject, or are there other?
Focus pure. We want to be the best at one subject, and that's math.
Okay, and what grades?
A lot of the kids come between the ages of 6 to 14, but we do have programs for kids that are going to have to take SAT and ACT scores. We have programs that they can come into our center and do an assessment. That's the other thing I do want to hit home on. We talk about mom and dad being an ally to them. They go to Google when they find out that on the report card the child's struggling. So they reach out to us and we invite them in for an assessment. We're like the doctor's office. Bring the patient in. We're going to check the blood pressure. We're going to check the heart rate. We're going to ask a lot of questions. That's when our assessment. We're going to bring the child in and take his age group and grade level, and we're going to do a complete assessment and measure 60 critical skills of men. After we do that, we're able to sit down with mom and dad and say, well, you know what you thought was the problem really isn't the problem. Your child doesn't know how to add. He might have issues subtracting. He might not know how to divide. But when mom and dad see that assessment in front of them, they see what they need to do to help the child, right? So the next question always comes out, well, how do we help my son or my daughter? We have a prescriptive learning plan, a complete plan that's put and laid out for them right there. That's all driven by our software program called our platform Radius, our CRM. And we're able to show mom and dad on the spot, this is what we're going to do. This is the dates we're going to get it done by. And we're going to continue to work on making them. And makes mom and dad know that, hey, I brought somebody in here. They were professional. They really looked at what the issues were. They found out what those issues were. And the great part about it is there's a roadmap for success here.
That's nice. Now, Mathnasium is one of the bigger franchises, right? I saw there's like over 1,000 locations.
Over 1,000 in the U.S., about 100 in Canada, and another 120 throughout the world. We're owned by one of the best private equity companies in franchising. It's called Roar Capital. They own a lot of top franchises in the United States. All this Mathnasium is a great opportunity, and that's why they own it.
And then I know your Mathnasium's clients are parents, right? But in terms of what you look for when you're looking for a potential franchisee, what does that look like?
Well, first of all, great question. You know, what's nice about Mathnasium, we have limited territories. It's not like we just got into business. Where a lot of franchise companies, it's very important for them to get that upfront franchise fee and get that person operating to get the name out there. 23 years later, we've got the name, we've got the return that comes with this franchise, and a very low failure rate. And we've got a process in place when franchisees are ready to sell, we help to do it. So we've got everything the franchisee needs. So looking for a good qualified person, to me, that first person that calls me is, I didn't make money in that business, or, hey, I saw your business, I want to help kids. I'd rather talk to that guy than somebody. Just let me know what the bottom line is, how much I can make.
Yeah, how do you normally find, I mean, there's limited territories now, I'm assuming.
So we do a lot. Of course, we do social media marketing. We get a lot of referrals from our franchisees. We work with brokers. So we've got a great outreach to get new candidates. The nice thing is we're very selective.
That's really nice. How has external factors like inflation, rising operational costs, all that stuff, how has that impacted the growth strategy for Mathnasium?
If you were sitting here talking about buying a franchise, you'd probably look at this and say, holy smokes, I need to have one of these. Well, first of all, let's talk about reality. I'm a parent. My kids are 38 and 40 years of age. My grandkids, right? I have 4 of them. Each daughter has one. The most important thing is when things are bad or tight for them, they never cut back on the kids or the pets. They cut back on things for themselves. When I was a parent, when things were tight, I cut back on things for my wife and I, not the kids. So we're really recession resistant because they're not going to cut back on education. They're going to cut back on how many times to the frozen yogurt shop, or how many, do we need 12-pack of Coke or a 6-pack of Coke at the grocery store? So I find us to be recession resistant. Mom and dads are paying a membership fee. They know what the outlay of monthly is for the child. The kids can come and use the centers when they need to. From a recession resistant point, we're doing really well. From the economic standpoint, it's more cost effective to come to a Mathnasium than do a private tutor. Here's why. The average private tutor might charge between $60 to $100 an hour to come to your house. If you do that 10 times a month, that can add up to $600, right? Maybe $1,000. Our average fee at Mathnasium is between $350 to $400 a month, unlimited. So it really works out where mom and dad also know they're going to drop the kids off, they're going to be in a safe environment, and they're really not going to have distractions such as TV, radio, etc. around them and their computer. So we've got all that covered.
That's good to know, especially in an environment like this. Anything that's recession resistant is. How do you manage the differences between territories?
Well, first of all, when the company got started, they went out and looked at the United States of America. They said, how many kids do you need to have? How much income do you need to have? Who knows what it was back 23 years ago, right? Well, like all franchise companies, this franchise company is going through the same process that all of them do. Where you are 20 years later is not the same place you were back then. So we already know that it's important for us to have enough kids between the ages of 7 to 17, enough disposable income in that area for mom and dad to afford a Mathnasium membership for their kids, and other details, but those are the 2 most important.
Right. That's good. Yeah, I was looking at, actually, before I signed up for the one I signed up for, I was looking at other ones related to kids. And I guess when they drew the territories back then, it was a much bigger area, right. And the area grew to be much more populated. And so it made sense to have a second location, but I couldn't because of the contract and because of the way the territory was drawn. How about AI? Are you using AI?
We use AI, I'm sure. I'm not in that part of the company, but I've heard that question. We have discovery days twice a month. And I've heard our CEO, Tyler, he handles it really well, which is the truth. I mean, at the end of the day, AI is really, we're not going to have robots sitting down with kids. You got to have, it's got to be emotional more than on the logical side. When you're sitting there with a child that's struggling, a robot doesn't know the feelings and how to deal with them, right? So I don't see AI as a big factor. I think AI can help us in other ways to improve our brand, but it's not a fear at all. There's no fear factor with AI with us because, like you said, you're not going to have a computer or a robot teach a kid. If it was the case, Mathnasium wouldn't be in business today, and we're growing every day.
Yeah, that's really important to have that human
Yeah.
element, especially with kids. What's working well in Mathnasium right now? What are you proud of?
I'm proud to be with this company. There's a lot of ethical people I work with. They're all committed to the kids. There's a lot of we people that work there, and they all have the same common goal. How do we make our franchisees successful? Because if they are, our life is more successful. So we work with a great guy. I've been with Mathnasium a couple years. I came over to Mathnasium from the past company because I liked the leader I had at the last company, and I followed him over. So I like the culture. We have a great culture.
That's so important. I heard that's so important with franchises, like building the culture.
Absolutely, because you know why? There's franchise companies, all they care about is getting your franchise fee, whatever happens, not this one. One more important about doing the right thing for the owners. Because that's what we teach the parents, I mean the franchisees. Do the right thing for mom and dad on the other end of the table. Don't worry about if you have to charge them an extra $25 more a month. Give them the discount if they need it.
So that's how you built the culture.
Greed is not good at Mathnasium. Where you used to hear greed was good from Gordon Gekko, greed's not good at Mathnasium.
How about what's been frustrating?
What's been frustrating for me?
Yes.
I like to do more at Mathnasium. I know that I'm limited. I think I see some opportunities where Mathnasium could have a resale division or other things. I like to do more, but on the other hand, I do this because I'm very passionate about what I do. I love
Yes.
helping people. So I've been very blessed throughout the years. So financially, this is all about helping kids.
Yeah. Is there a lot of franchisees that want to resell?
You'd be shocked. This is the typical franchise organization, mature. They have an 8 to 10% turnover. You look at companies that have 1,000 units out there, they could be turning over 100, 200 units a year. We have a very low retention. Most of the people that leave Mathnasium retire or they sell because they want to take some of their chips off the table.
What metrics do they look at on a weekly or a monthly basis?
We are very data driven. We don't make a decision on anything until we've looked at the data. Our CEO, Tyler, and Kevin, my boss, everything's around analytics. So we're really focused on how many assessments are coming into Mathnasium. That's the driver of the business. The second thing we're looking at is the retention rate. How many kids stay at Mathnasium? The average child stays at Mathnasium about 11 months. So that's pretty good. We have kids that have been with us 3 to 4 years, and we've got kids that have been with us 11 weeks. The average child's with us about 11 months.
That's really nice. How do franchisees find their customers?
This isn't like food. This isn't a commodity business. This is word of mouth. So you have to be really astute to your environment. You really have to pay attention to your community. And that's why selling a protected territory, we're going to do at Mathnasium, we're going to do all of the national TV and radio and social media. And in regards to regional, we're going to take that national marketing approach and put it to a regional level so the people that live in Detroit get the same message that they get in Los Angeles, but in the way they understand it. From a community standpoint, we got our franchisees out there working with the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, schools in their area, working with local business. A lot of it is with the schools, getting in relationship with the schools. And then last but not least, inside the 4 walls of the franchise, we have referral programs. So we're hitting all cylinders to make sure our franchisees have a marketing approach.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And so I guess the franchisees who are not plugged in to their communities, those are having a harder time then. Where do you want Mathnasium to be 6 to 12 months from now?
Where would I? If I was the CEO of the company, I'd want it to be where it's supposed to be. I want to make sure I'm hitting my targets and growth levels. I don't get involved in where the company's growth. My job is to get out and make it happen.
Right. That makes sense. If you were to start over again, what would you tell your younger self?
If I were to start over my career, I would have got into the franchise industry. If I knew about franchising when I was 18, 19, I started right there. God's blessed me with a great journey. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't follow him. And
Yes.
I was in good places at the right time. I wouldn't change really anything. To be honest with you, I'm a very blessed guy. I'm very happy. I want to portray that image to people I'm talking to that, you know what? Whether you buy a business or not, it's a personal decision, but I'm going to treat you as professional as possible and make the experience good for you.
Yeah, No, that's good. I mean, you've lived with no regrets. That's a great life.
I go to bed every night and honestly I put my head on the pillow.
What tips would you want to give to someone who aspires to be a leader in franchise development one day?
You got to know how to lead a team. You got to know how to motivate your team. You need to know everybody that's on your team because one person doesn't respond like the other person. You got to be able to understand your team. You got to know, am I working with an amiable or am I working with an analytical or am I working with the driver personality? Then I need to get into where their comfort space is. So if I were managing that, and I did a lot of managing, I knew that when I was talking to one employee, I know they're a bottom line guy. I just give them the bottom line answers, and this is what we're going to do, case closed. And if I was working with somebody who was very expressive, I'd be very friendly, expressive. If I was working with an employee that's very data driven, then I'd be all analytical. And then the last and not least is if I wanted to get along with a guy, I'd be amiable. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Base relationships on mutual trust, honesty, integrity, and open communication, right? And speak little, listen much, and be slow to anger. That's my 3 biggest Mazer tips.
Yeah, that's a good way to live. What have you learned from working with different or talking to different potential franchisees?
Everybody's got a different story and a different reason. Some are just wanting to tell me that they want to own a business because they want to tell their friends they're looking to buy one. I talk to tire kickers that are talking to 27 different franchises, and they don't really know what they want to do. And I talk to people that are focused on the industry that I'm involved in.
Have you had to turn down a lot of people?
I have no problem doing it. If I detect somebody is not going to be good in our system, like, I don't like kids. Well, why are you here? Right? Or all I really care about is how do I make a buck? That's not the right attitude because the bucks will come if you follow our system. I do have one special story, and I think that I'm talking about Mathnasium. I've been doing this a long time, 36 years, and one of the things that I had is always never brought a person or friend into a business or relative that I was involved in because it's sort of taboo. But I will say that I had a buddy of mine that I met in Dallas that really saw Mathnasium. His wife was a teacher. And he said, this would be a great fit for us. I kept saying, well, my problem is I don't really want to sell you a franchise because he goes, well, I'll have your boss do it for me then. And then I said, okay. So we spent a lot of time together and they're very successful. They're doing well. And the nice thing about it is he was the field goal kicker for the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. So he left football. He's now owning a Mathnasium in Nebraska. His name is Brett Maher. Brett was the field goal kicker for the Rams and the Cowboys. He's now a very successful, he's not only a successful Mathnasium, but he's a successful father, husband, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. It's obvious why he's successful at what he does. But yeah, that's to me, if they're giving me a success story, that would be one of them.
That's great. I'm sure you have many more.
I do.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a nice job to have.
I love it. You know what? Yeah. If people came to me, if I were sitting in a job booth and I was saying, what do I do for a living? I'm in franchise development. I help build franchise companies. I would get people's attention and talk to them all day long about it.
Yeah. And if people want to get in touch with you or learn more, where can they go?
They can call me on my mobile.
Really?
Yeah. They can email me to mmazer1962@gmail.com. And if they want to learn about Mathnasium, it's marty.mazer@mathnasium.com.
Well, Marty, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you got value, share it, tag us, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Catch you next time on the Ascend Growth AI podcast.